Man, as part of Halfway to Halloween, our super event, we're crossing all fandoms, breaching into all different categories. And right now, I'm super excited as part of day 2 to kick it off with the guy who proved once and for all Anakin Skywalker had passed the point of no return, had lost his soul because that little boy that broke your heart in the Jedi Academy is here with us from Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Mr. Ross Beadman. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. I'm very glad that you called me so cute. What happened? That's all I can ask.
Well, you know, our mutual friend Brian, he wrote up your story for me, and the story of that when the director's like repeating the line, "Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do?" And then he's like, "Okay, kids, who remembers the line?" And you raise your hand. Is that really kind of like how it went down? How you were picked to be the one that Hayden would so unceremoniously take out?
Yeah, absolutely. It was the casting director who said it. I forget. He's kind of tallish with some light blonde hair. So, guys, who knows the line? All the other kids were talking amongst themselves. I felt so left out, but I felt kind of happy since I was the first one on the ball listening. So yeah, me. I don't think any of the kids there even noticed that he asked the question though. So in their own world. But hey, I think it was just maybe the stars aligned that day and luck was in my favor. And a bit of perseverance as well and being quick on the ball. So yeah.
Well, can I ask you to do me a favor, Ross? Because this is like one thing that not too many Star Wars fans can say they've had this experience or this opportunity. Can you deliver? I'll be the casting director. Who remembers the line? Who remembers the line?
Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do?
And they say, okay, you're up.
Totally, man.
And then the casting director put the lightsaber to my neck, just like you did. Yeah.
Did he really?
It was very frightening. Yeah. That would have made for quite a different experience. Not necessarily negative, though.
Well, man, one of the things about the prequel series that kind of like caught me when you go back and you study like George and how he made all those films is that they're in the soundstage and the gap of like what made Star Wars, all the practical effects are now, he's inventing all these digital effects. You're a young boy and you get, the opportunity to be in Star Wars. Did you have a relationship with the franchise yet going into being on set for Revenge of the Sith?
Oh yeah. So beforehand I had the original trilogy on VHS. I liked it when you're a kid and you have the newer ones coming out though. And at my time it was the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I think you're very much more inclined to take on the newest ones, especially. So for me, Attack of the Clones was my favorite. The arena battle with the Acklys and the beasts from faraway exotic planets. Yeah, that did it for me. The film could have just included that, and I would have been happy, and I would have still continued to say it was the best one.
That was one of the things too. Is you growing up and being casted in Episode 3 at the age that you were casted in, like Episode 2, like that really is kind of like your Star Wars that had come out at the age where you were, old enough to be able to kind of like gravitate towards Episode 2. I saw episode 2, and I was, I want to say, 8th grade, so junior. I don't know. In the UK, do you guys have middle school?
We have primary school, we have secondary school, and then we have the opportunity to go to a different college. But a lot of times, those college, they're called sixth form years. They are attached to secondary school, i.e., high school as it is. So, for me, it was primary school. I think the last years of our primary school and the early years of our secondary school, they will be the middle school for America. That will be the equivalent. At least that's what I assume. It's an educated guess. I haven't done nearly even basic research on that, so do not put me to my word on that. But hey, yeah, primary school definitely the earlier days. So I would have been in year 3, and year 4 and year 5 just before filming. I was a big fan of Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, anything huge and fantastical. That was me. I was in there. Yeah.
So when you're coming on board for episode 3, going back and looking at Attack of the Clones, who was your favorite character?
Mace Windu. Yeah, I just like how unique the purple lightsaber was. I thought he was a bit different. He was quite stoic, and I thought, yeah, he was one of the most badass people, despite saying very little. So I really like Mace Windu, and I was heartbroken when he got killed off in Revenge of the Sith. I was more
Or did he, man?
What's that?
Or did he?
Or hey, maybe he maybe he somehow managed to survive. Maybe that was the same case with me as well. So hey, we're not talking about any certainties here. Baby Yoda might have saved both of us at the end of the day. So,
my man, if they're gonna come up with rumors about Broom Boy from Last Jedi like getting his own trilogy, how are we not coming up with Jedi Academy Kid from episode 3 getting like all kinds of stuff, man?
Yeah. It's crazy how much detail there is, even with the very, very minor characters, and how the fans also they can create, even in their own heads, like magic, these such detailed worlds as well. Apart from the franchise, it's something to behold. And hey, I'm not gonna never say never.
You know, it was pretty wild that you getting to have that experience. And when you get to film that scene with Hayden on the behind the scenes stuff, on all like the Blu-rays and everything, like on the age of the prequel trilogy, a lot of that stuff, because George is, you know, inventing all these different filmmaking techniques at that time, a lot of it is green screen. So yeah, in that scene, are you fully, you know, green screen everywhere, and you know, it's just like kind of that little like centerpiece where you walk up to him that's actually practical?
Yeah, everything apart from the futuristic style chairs and the detailed flooring with the kind of, I think it was a star pattern on it.
Mm-hmm.
That was all green screen. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the reverse of what we're doing. I don't know if you've seen the Mandalorian stuff, where now it's all the digital screens.
They actually generate it behind them in real time. It's interesting to see the evolution, really.
It's wild that it's all coming from Lucas too. Like, it's not wild. Like, it's not unpredictable. I mean, they come up with everything, it seems, but that's like the next evolution in filmmaking. Like, there you have it, the Star Wars prequel, and now Mandalorian for Disney Plus, and it's the same studio doing it. That's pretty cool.
Did Lucas pioneer the technique of generating the background in real time as a evolution from green screen? Do you know that? Or
they took that tech, and then they worked with the video game guys who did that projection mapping, and so it was like a hand in hand with the video game. I can't remember what video game studio, but it was like video game studio and Lucasfilm working side by side. But yeah, that's pretty wild stuff.
That is crazy. I didn't realize they brought video game factors into it. Yeah.
With you getting that part at a young age, I know now you have evolved into doing like some film production yourself. Was getting into, Star Wars, was like seeing it at such a young age at that level. Was that like something that, put a lot of influence on you to, go forth and try to have yourself a career in film production?
Yeah, it was definitely a part of who I was. I was always creative. I was always doodling imaginary scenarios on a piece of paper, usually stick figures fighting in huge battles with probably too much gore for how old I was. But yeah, just this creating stuff when it comes from being in Star Wars. I'd say that played a smaller part than me actually just messing around with my friends, filming us doing silly stuff. We did a few videos where we were carrying Nerf guns, and then we added on like gun sound effects and effects to that, blood effects, the whole entire works, explosions to that. And yeah, I think just the amount of enjoyment I got from that really made me think about what I wanted to do. And yeah, making videos is something I do take a lot of enjoyment in. Now I'm in the beginning part of my career, but I do own my own company at the moment, rossbeadman.com, and that is specialized for making commercial videos. At the moment, I've just filmed a commercial video for a local boxing gym, which has been a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going with that.
So what do you think is like your specific area in which you enjoy doing as far as your own video production?
I love storyboarding, and I love creating short films about 7 minutes max. That's the stuff I used to do back in the day with my mates, and we used to do a lot of Halloween specials and everything, like make spoof horror films as well. Yeah, that's what I enjoy creating the most. But I'm grounded in reality at the moment of what can make money and what I'd enjoy doing at the same time. Something which can make money, which I won't hate doing, and which I'd actually gain a lot of enjoyment from and still be able to be creative. So that's why I chose to go more on the commercial side. But in the future, yeah, that definitely, hopefully, that will enable me to get enough time in my own free time to make those short films again.
Do you have like Star Wars? People have called it sci-fi. People called it fantasy. People called it space opera. People call it, everything. What do you have a specific genre outside of Star Wars that you are just a film fan of?
Horror. I love horror.
I like hearing that.
Everyone which every popular horror film which comes out, I tend to watch much more consistently than other genres. I also like more of the niche ones. Yeah, I like emotional experience when I watch something on TV in front of me. I think I get a certain rush from being scared. Less so now. I think once you've had enough adrenaline watching something, say from a scary scene, then the likelihood is that that's going to dip less and less and less as you get older. It's like being, I guess, addicted to a certain drug. You develop a tolerance to it, and I think with horror film, that's what's happening with me. But I think in the future, maybe they'll have to use that to pioneer something even scarier, which we haven't seen before. And I'm kind of apprehensive from when that's going to happen, because I think they're going to pioneer new shooting techniques. Hopefully, the tropes will be thrown out the window when it comes to, because a lot of that films in that genre now of horror, they're very predictable. And yeah, I think a new director needs to come along and turn it all on its head and make them scary again and keep your adrenaline up. Definitely.
Well, what was it that got you into horror films? Like, was it zombies, slasher? Like everybody has like their certain itch that got them into it. What was it for you?
I'd say psychological horror. Maybe a bit of maybe a bit of masochism on my part, because I like making myself scared and then keeping myself up at night. When I was younger, my first viewing of the film, you ever seen The Thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I must have watched it when I was about 8 years old. My parents supervised it as well. They said, "Oh, you should watch this, by the way." And I said, "Hey, sure, I'll come with." And it was so grotesque and disgusting. But not only that, it wasn't gory. It wasn't just gory. It was something about it which made me feel like I could be attacked at any time, even when even when the film was off. I kept looking behind me to see if something would jump out and try and assimilate me, and then my face. I was worried that my face was going to split open and then my rib cage would be used as some kind of pincer weapon against my parents. No, it was traumatizing, but I think not in a necessarily terrible way. So,
Well, did you have a childhood dog?
I have a childhood dog. No, we were a family who owned a lot of cats, so I'm guessing it would still be susceptible to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it would still be like a gnarly assimilation / mutation. Then it would be pretty gross to have to sit through watching your childhood cat get taken.
It was so disturbing. It was so disturbing. Yeah, maybe that explains a lot.
I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in that. I mean, a lot of what makes Star Wars good, man, is what makes the horror movie good. The practical effects to it, like American Werewolf in London. That practical effects makeup is still one of the hardest to sit there and watch. Him transforming. Star Wars. Those special effects, the scene in the cantina where Obi-Wan lops off the arm, or Empire when Luke's whopping off Star Wars and whopping off hands and arms. Like that is like go-to. Like that's got to be like the old samurai adage of taking your arm off and now you can't swing the sword. But my God, the Jedi, they just take arms off just nimbly throughout the whole franchise.
Yeah, they take no prisoners, and yet they started off as this kind of peacekeeping organization, kind of similar to, I guess, a few organizations today, but we won't delve into that too much.
In both continents, so we could.
Absolutely. I think the parallels to what we see on TV and what we see in real life is astounding. I think they put what's actually going on in films, and then when it comes to the news media and everything else, that's where the real obfuscation comes in.
It's pretty rad. I don't think there's been a lot of parallels in history and time that you could draw from different eras in time in Star Wars and say, that's the draw, that's the parallel that the writer or George or filmmaker, whoever it may be, is drawing from, and they're tying that into the Star Wars franchise, whatever characters they may be, Jedi, Mandalorians, aliens, whatever. And man, I think you hit it on the head right there. Like right now, our real world time is very close to what's actually going on. You could definitely tie in from multiple points around the globe, different multiple points around the Star Wars universe is pretty wild. We were jamming about, so you were telling me, man, like your love of horror as a child, The Thing, and like practical effects kind of goes into your love of the practical effects of the Star Wars franchise, which is pretty, of course, iconic. But do you have a particular? Is The Thing your particular, favorite scary movie?
Well, when it comes to my favorite scary movies, it's definitely in my top 3 or 4. I loved The Babadook. It's quite a recent Australian horror film. Don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah.
But that gave me the shivers as well. I think it's the scene where it might be the second place in the film where you see the monster, and it's behind the old lady when she's watching TV, and you see in the corner just the face.
Yeah.
Really creepy face, The Babadook. I love it when horror films just hint at something, and you might not always catch it like overtly. It's that kind of thing which seeps into your subconscious, I think, and it makes you so creeped out. I'd rather be creeped out and left reeling after something and having to watch my back than being shocked at a jump scare. Although that is fun, it's more of a roller coaster ride though than a true horror. But I think each has its place. I don't want to completely go against jump scares, because I think that technique does have its place as well to scare people. So yeah, the Babadook, also the book they made in that, introduced the monster. I think that was amazing as well. The amount of intricate details they managed to put in a pop-up book. There's some craftsmanship right there. It's really amazing in that regard.
The production guys in the back are saying like underwater too, like in The Descent or any of those kind of films where you're in some kind of body of water but you don't know what's underneath you. That's always crazy.
I've not seen The Descent.
That's a good one, man. You should check that movie out.
Yeah, I might have to add it to my list, but it's underwater. It's underwater, you say, and I'm guessing there's some mystery about what lurks underneath.
Like, I mean, essentially, like the whole like premise of like outer space, where we don't know, what's out there, huge waste of space kind of thing. But it's the whole like we don't even know fully what's here yet because we don't know what's under the water type of a thing. So
yeah, something bigger, much more powerful or intelligent than us lurking and just going to engulf us without a second thought. We're like insects to whatever is out there. I think that is a creepy thing. It's called cosmic horror. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of research on YouTube. I've seen some video essays to know that. Make it look like I know what I'm talking about. We're all good.
What would you say is the scene in the UK? Like, what is, here in the US, it's always like a very, transitional like fad. Like we go through like the vampire fad, and then we go through the zombie fad, and then we go through, I mean, right now everyone's going through the pandemic fad. Like, what would you say is like the in thing in the UK as far as horror goes?
When it comes to horror, I'd say a lot of times we piggyback off of American culture when it comes to the whole fads and horror. I think we might have a bit more of a true crime element, especially with our native broadcasting, such as the BBC. A lot of their programs centered around horror aspects centered around the true crime element of things. But that's wrapped up in just general crime dramas as it is. I've got to say the same thing. We are very culturally linked to the US. It's so similar, and I guess that's a good thing when it comes to watching US shows when they're good, but when they're not good, it's it does some damage as well. So yeah, I find it hard pressed to think of anything which is different. We had the clown fad a few years back on social media as well. People were scared about that, but that was kind of homegrown in America too. So yeah, so closely linked.
Well, man, what was like I can't let you go without asking a couple more Star Wars questions. You're on the set of episode 3. He's turning into Vader, but you're seeing, of course, Hayden isn't old school Vader yet. He's definitely at that transitional point, that catalyst point. I mean, for a horror tie-in, you could even say maybe even the scariest point of his fall. But did you get to did you get to see him in the full get-up? Did you have like any fun like moments of there's Hayden in the full Darth Vader behind the scenes, like any of that fun stuff?
He was in the full get-ups. He was in the full cloak. But I'll tell you what, when I met him, he was the nicest guy ever. So he certainly wasn't the type of actor who would stay in character behind the scenes. I think maybe if he was, I would have been stuttering a hell of a lot more. Let's just say that. I knew something was up with the way the character was going though, since I was just coming off watching Attack of the Clones pretty much. Probably last time I watched it before filming when I was that age, but it was probably like a couple months prior with my buddy. I knew something was going off. I saw some news headlines and articles talking about how Revenge of the Sith was going to be darker. I saw Anakin in his hooded cloak, and especially during the beginning of that scene, I knew my instincts were telling me that the overall context was going to be negative. But I wasn't sure exactly why until I watched the film fully and then began to process it. And my parents explaining more of the plot to me about what happened. Yeah.
With that,
but yeah, Hayden was the nicest guy ever. I certainly didn't notice any Sith tendencies from him when I was talking to him.
With him on set, or director on set, or anyone on set with you too, like, or even you as a kid, like, were you curious as to what happened to your character? Did they like, okay, like, Anakin's putting you guys all to bed now. Like, what? How did they like tell all you guys?
They didn't tell us anything.
No.
So they just gathered us up. They said, "Who knows the line?" And I did about 4 or 5 takes of me do the line in front of Hayden, and then when I got the right one, that's a wrap. If my memory serves me correctly, we might have done one when we were all laying down.
Yeah.
On the floor, although I can't say concretely that actually happened. But
I mean, that would have been pretty morbid. The shot of you guys. I mean, that's kind of next level for a Star Wars film.
Yeah, that might have bumped it up to a 15, at least in the UK. Yeah, yeah, you're definitely going to need some parental guidance for that. I had no idea. I had no idea until I got back from watching it, even when it was released. Because after the premiere, when I watched it, my parents said to me that I survived. So I knew something was a little bit off, but I had it in my mind that, you know what, it's just hey, I escaped, and you know what, I might have done. But the consensus when I got back to school was that I got murdered.
Yeah.
And so I had these 2 conflicting ideas in my head, and I began to accept more of what my peers in school were saying. But yeah, that's all changing, and more questions are being dug up. Yeah.
With with this too, we got some questions coming in for you. What franchise, other than Star Wars, so it could be, we'll put horror movies on the table. What franchise would be your top pick to be like a staple part of?
Oh, that's such a good question. Because you could do it from the meta perspective of of how well their careers get better after it's finished, and how well the series is enjoyed as well. If I was to choose one, might need to have to check my Netflix for that. Yeah. I would, if you asked me 3-4 years ago, I would have said Game of Thrones, and then that would have, and then certainly I wouldn't say the same thing now. The Mandalorian, potentially, yeah. I think I love what Disney's doing with the programming aspect of it. I'm not so sure entirely about the films they've created for Star Wars, but certainly the series they created for the Mandalorian have been amazing. So I think that would have been a very natural continuation, even if I was to play a completely different character.
Well, I mean, my buddy and I, we were just having that conversation. His first round draft choice is he's comic book movie and I'm Star Wars. And after the Bad Batch, I don't know if you watch any of the cartoons at all. Man,
The Boys is a good series.
Yeah, man. Like
I would have loved to appear in that one as well. Yeah. So Mandalorian and The Boys, the current 2 which come into my head right now. If you were to give me 10 minutes where I can compile the series I've most recently watched in the last few years, and I'll probably give you a much more refined answer. But at the moment, that's what's coming to me. Yeah.
Right on, man. The thing that you just kind of hit on, the fact that with Disney Plus now, Star Wars is evolving, the product is evolving, the amount of timelines that they're able to kind of like grab into and touch on and really kind of string out into these different, elongated projects is really cool. you as like as a fan of Star Wars, like, are you digging what they're doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna see when they get released, but it's certainly ambitious. The amount of sub series they're creating. Like there's one for Ahsoka as well. I've just finished watching the Clone Wars a few months ago, and now I'm being bombarded with potentially new series coming up on the horizon. So we'll see, but you can't fault them. You can't fault them for it. They are an absolute behemoth, and they've taken the license, and now they're running with it. We're going to see. We're going to see how good it's going to be, and if it's as good as the Mandalorian, I'm going to be a very happy boy in the next 2 years. Yeah.
So you mentioned Ahsoka's name. Are you a fan of the Clone Wars, Rebels, all those shows?
I like the Clone Wars. I would hesitate before watching Rebels. I'm so shallow. The story could be amazing, but I looked at the graphic style of it, and I was kind of put off. But that's not a fault of Rebels. That's my own personal. I forget what the is. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If you like Clone Wars, like especially like the second half of Clone Wars, like the Ahsoka angle, and then the end, how they ended that thing, man, like you'll like Rebels a lot. Like they go back into that prequel, exactly what happened to like Darth Maul and Palpatine and all that kind of stuff. Like it's worth checking out.
Oh, nice one. Okay.
So now with your production company, is there a side to that coming out, behind the camera stuff? I don't know, I kind of gravitate more and more towards editing and putting the thing together and like, the jigsaw side of it. Like what is it for you that you have enjoyed in doing it, in that way? Is there a certain piece that you have enjoyed on that side of things more than most?
Yeah, absolutely. It's more of the directing and conceptualizing side and filming as well. I just love getting what's inside of my head out there in the best way that I can. If it gets replicated in video, even 80% of what I see going on inside my brain, then I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, usually that comes up with a good reception. So yeah, I love that creativity side of it. I love bringing certain people together if they come in on a shoot, and yeah, I love making something which looks very nice. So yeah, the directing side I definitely prefer. The editing side, I've done actually quite a little bit more of that over the last 3-4 years. I used to do some corporate animations as part of my university degree. And yeah, so I'm pretty well versed with After Effects and Premiere Pro as well, but I can find certain parts of it absolutely mind-numbing. Yeah.
Right on, man. The other side of the camera is very fascinating to me, to get actors to ask you questions that, I mean, when you're in school and you got crews of your best friends helping you make films because they believe in you, or they're just trying to help you get your thing down, like that is like a level of being able to finish a project in its own right. But when you get to express, like I just filmed my first film with what I would call like pretty semi-professional actors, theater actors, and they were asking me questions on set that like you hear directors talk about being asked. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty wild to actually be on this side of things and, take that step up to the next level and work with people and, produce something that's that much better, and it is pretty wild when you get into that side of things. Like you broke into the scene with like friggin' Oz's candy store with, getting to do Lucasfilm and Star Wars at such a young age. Like that's really like getting to really peek behind, the ultimate curtain of curtains as far as fandom goes, especially. And
yeah, it's an absolute juggernaut when you think of pop culture and film. Star Wars is definitely at least top 3. Definitely. Maybe top two. I can't think of. Yeah, Marvel, Star Wars, DC. Yeah, they're certainly up there. I'm extremely lucky to have been a part of it. Definitely.
So, man, like, we'll let you go here, Ross, but let me ask one more question, man. Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Mace Windu, definitely.
Okay. So,
followed by Yoda. I think they're both very powerful in their own right, and they're unique. Yeah.
and before we do, tell everybody, whether they're US or UK, obviously the UK is going to probably have a stronger, more appeal when they hear your website again. But shout that out again, man. Like if you're working for a production crew to do some work for you.
Yeah, in the UK, if you're in the UK, especially in the South Coast, if you're running a business, you're looking to get your product off the shelves through video, which will then be promoted on social media and crafted with results in mind, i.e. sales of your product or service, and go to rossbeadman.com and you can email me and book a consultation through there. We can see if we can work together and we'd be a good fit as well. Additionally, if you're looking to buy autographs from myself, for my young character, I've got a few examples here. I've got one of these lightsaber autographs, and we've got one, let's show you. We've got close-up style autographs as well, in multiple different sizes. All you'll need to do from that is go to sorsautos.com. That's SORSAUTOS.com. And yeah, buying them is just one click away. It's super simple, super easy to do, and shipping is free worldwide.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
Any of the websites. Yeah.
Do you guys have the appreciation that second when you showed up, the close up of you in the UK? I got to imagine it's a worldwide thing, but you have an appreciation of a meme, right? And
memes are half the reason why I'm probably even on this show. I've got to attribute most of my, I'll call it fame. I think there's levels to it, but most of my current fame is due to the memes and how that has been replicated of my character. Just I think, it's a unique part. A kid saying a line and then getting slaughtered very shortly after is very dark. For some people, it's quite funny, and yeah, we're here today. We're here today, aren't we? So that's those are the fruits of that, definitely.
If only there was meme royalty checks, you'd be golden.
Hey, when it comes to memes and extras, I'm certainly up there, especially for ones who've said the one-liners. So I'm still waiting on that Hall of Fame star on the Hollywood boardwalk. I may be there some time, but give it 100 years, maybe.
Well, cool, man. Ross, thank you for taking the time out to talk with us today. We appreciate it. Everybody check out Ross's website, and may the force be with you, man.
And also with you.